RGB when your image is going to be digital. It's going to be on a TV or it's going to be on a monitor. Kyler, are you making sure everything's on there? Yeah. All right, so RGB colors is for when you have it digitally. Why, when would you make a file that has CMYK? Somebody else. Madden. Yeah, printing. The test will literally ask you to make a new file. This is, I mean, you could guess this, but it will tell you to make a new file for print. And when you see those words, for print, that should key in your mind, oh, I need to make a CMYK file, not an RGB. All right? Now, this one was kind of easy because it was the very first question of our practice test. What type of file is unprocessed and contains more data than a standard JPEG? Angel.
A raw file?
Yeah, RAW, R-A-W. Raw file. Why would someone use, this is a different type of file, a PNG file instead of a JPEG? Rosie, you had your hand up.
Isn't it so you have a higher resolution in your image?
Yeah. So back when Photoshop first came out and computers are getting really popular, most people liked PNG files. But they were huge, and our hard drives weren't that big back then. So we couldn't afford the space. So PNG files have a lot of data. They're high quality. And you could also add a PNG file has transparency. It also has a capability of being see-through. A JPEG file is just totally flat. It's no see-through whatsoever. And lastly, a PNG file, you could actually have animation in it. So you can do that. Now, if I want to use just the layer window to export a single layer as a JPEG, how would I do that? We'll open up Photoshop again, and we'll look at the layer window. I want somebody to walk me through this process. Henry, what about you? How would I export? I've got two layers. How would I export this picture as a JPEG using the layer window? Not going up here and doing save, but how would I do it here? Right-click it. Export as. When you go to export as, you actually have a bunch of different options. And that might be one of the questions that you get on the exam. You would have to do that. So the answer is right-click the layer and export as. Make sure they have that written down. Yeah, you right-click the layer and then you hit export as. Now the next part is how you customize Photoshop or customize files. So it says that the settings for Photoshop, or the, like how Photoshop runs, is up here at the top where it says Photoshop. Mine says 2024. And you go to settings. Now, in settings, there's a place that you can go to save recovery information. That means that if your computer crashes, you won't lose everything because Photoshop will automatically save for you every few minutes. We don't have that turned on. By default, it's not, but you could. And on the test, it might ask you to do this to modify it and to turn it on. So where would you go to do it? Jack?
Preferences.
Yeah. Settings up here. Yeah.
File handling.
File handling.
And it's just in that.
It's right here. It says automatically save recovery information every 5 minutes.
Wait, what if they don't have that last specific part?
What do you mean?
Okay. Like they don't have automatically save and recovery. They don't have that, but
Well,
they have everything else.
I included that because there may or may not be a question that asks you to change it to every 5 minutes. Now, we saw this on the practice test. If you didn't do something exactly the way it asked, it would mark it wrong. Some of you got really frustrated over that. But it could have been like the spelling of a word or just like a decimal in a setting. If you click automatically save recovery information and you leave it at 10 minutes, you will get this question wrong because the test is a computer and it asks you to do every 5 minutes, right? So, yeah, this is just from experience in the past. People have gotten this question wrong because they forgot to read the question exactly and do it exactly the way it asked, okay? All right, so there's that. Now, the next thing is about metadata. When you take a picture with a digital camera or your phone, there's invisible data that's attached to that file. And it travels with that file, and only computers can actually see it. Human beings can't. But it's called metadata. And it's hidden information that a computer reads. It can tell you the origin of the file. It can tell you if you shot a picture with your camera, it would tell you the lens that you used, the date that you took the picture, the time. It could even tell you your ISO setting or your f-stop, right? It can tell you all that. And that, again, is metadata. It's invisible information. So, for that question on the practice or the study guide, I just need everybody to know and make sure that they wrote this down. A definition of metadata: invisible information about the file that only computers can read. They could write something else and give them points for that. But make sure that you wrote this down for them so they remember. Okay, so they can still get a point, but my definition is the one that I want you to know.
About the
Can you
file.
put
Invisible information about the file only computers can read. Because if I look at this file right here, I'm a human being, africansunset.jpg. I just know it looks like this. I'm a human. But if I were to open up this file, I would be able to tell where it originated from, what version of Photoshop was used to create it, even if it's copyrighted or not. All because of the invisible metadata.
Unless you pulled it off social media with structured metadata.
The next question is where you would find that. So somebody tell me, I have this file in Photoshop open, where I would go. Somebody other than Jack. Who's got it written down? Rosie?
I mean, I don't think this is right, but it says file info, and basic.
Yeah. Everybody look up at the board. Now, one of the questions on the exam might tell you, hey, change the copyright metadata for this image. So you would go up to File, and you would go to File Info, because it is info about this picture. And this is the metadata, all of this. It is under Basic. And this is it right here, copyright status. Right now, this is unknown, but I could copyright it this very second in Photoshop as far as Photoshop is concerned. I could even say photo copyrighted 2024. And that would travel with this file.
Unless it gets scripted.
In fact, look at this right here. Well, yeah. If you look at the title of this image, there's a small C inside of a circle, and it says that this image has now been copyrighted. Right? So that is under File and File Info. I'm going to take it off. This is also what I was talking about, camera data. This picture was taken. It even knows the camera that was used. It's a Canon EOS 90D. It even has the serial number for the camera. It has the exposure level, the focal length for the lens. Everything is in here. I didn't tell it any of this, but it knew because this information travels with that picture. All right, so that is that one. Any questions so far? Last page. All right, the last page deals with type settings. Now, this character window right here, where would you go to find it?
Properties?
Nope.
The window,
Yes. Again, you guys, it's just window. So a lot of you have asked, like, repeatedly, and maybe it's just my bad for not cementing this in your heads. Any of these windows, the layer window, the adjustments window, they're all just separate windows. And if you want any of them, all you have to do is go to window and you can find them. So I can go and I can get my layers window, and there it is. I can put it back on the side. I can go up here and get my character window, and there it is. There's my character window. So a bunch of you lost track of like your Gmetrics window. It's all here under window. So if you get an instruction on the exam that says, hey, go to the channels window and change the name of this channel, and you can't find it right here, all you have to do is go up here to window and find it there. Okay, so that's a little bit of free advice there. Now, for the characters, this tells you all the information about your text, and we have different settings. Now, if you get confused and it asks you to change a certain setting, remember, if you put your mouse over each one of these, it will tell you what that setting is, the exact name. So again, on the exam, when it asks you to change a setting, if you don't know where that setting is, you just put your mouse over it and you can figure this stuff out. So the first one at the top where it says metrics, what is this one? What'd you guys have? Kerning, yeah, Kerning, right? So that's this one right here. Oh wait, no, it's this one over here. The one beneath it, what is that one called? Leading or letting, yeah. And the next one down below it, tracking, right? They each do something different. In Microsoft, in Google Docs or Microsoft Word, you know, you have double spacing and stuff and everything. But we actually in Photoshop have the ability to not only do double spacing, but how much space is in between each letter. So this one up here and this one right here between priority and LAV on your handouts, they're two different ones. What is this one at the top? What do you guys think? Tracking. This one at the top is called tracking, and the one beneath it is called kerning.
wait, the one above is what? Tracking.
The word priority, this one is called, that setting is called tracking, and the LAV, the one beneath it, that example, that is called kerning. The difference between those two is that tracking, everybody look up at the board here. The one at the top, tracking, will apply to an entire block of words or even a whole paragraph. The one below only applies to individual letters, right? So you could select an entire paragraph and change all of the spacing of every single word just using that setting right there called tracking. The one beneath it will just